Welcome to another episode of Council Bluffs Today. I am Todd Studer, and we are still at the Masonic Temple in Council Bluffs for Burgers for Blue, and we have been talking with a lot of different folks in law enforcement, and we are welcoming back, if you remember last year, Jason LaMaster is a sergeant with Pottawattamie County Sheriff's Office. You also are the guy that handles a lot of things over at the Squirrel Cage Jail.
That is correct.
Which we're wondering if you're ever going to put back into active use again or not.
It would be a great deterrent. Throw somebody in solitary there, and different circumstances back then. So,
so tell us a little bit about, for those, we expect that we're getting new viewers and new listeners all the time. And I know that there's some people that are going to be seeing this for the first time and have heard about the Squirrel Cage Jail, but really don't know a lot of the details behind it. So let's talk about that a little bit.
So the Squirrel Cage Jail was the Pottawattamie County Jail from 1885 until 1969. It was designed for ease of use for the jailer. It's a giant rotary jail. If you think of a Lazy Susan, in a sense, that's what it is. All the inmates are on this giant Lazy Susan, and the jailer would turn a hand crank, and you turn that inmate to you. So there's one doorway in, one doorway out on each floor. So he would turn the cell, line you up, and that way I can get you in or out of that cell. So one unarmed jailer can manage all 90 inmates, no issue, just by turning a hand crank and having so many people in the different cells.
How many of those are connected then? So if somebody needs to get access to, everybody's turning? Is that how that works?
Everybody's turning. Everybody goes for a ride. So there were 18 rotary jails built across the United States. We're the only three-story one that was ever built. And so out of the 18, there are 3 left. So there's a 1-story in Gallatin, Missouri. There's a 2-story in Crawfordsville, Indiana, and then our 3-story. What we've heard is a lot of times when they would have to turn the hand crank to let everybody go for a ride, they would either blow a whistle or just yell out, "We're turning it." And so that way everybody knew to step back from the bar, because it wasn't very safe. It wasn't OSHA approved back then, right? And that's how people first figured out how to escape, was they would put their arms and legs through the bars. So as the cell is turning, they would then break their own arms and break their own legs. We would then have to transport them to the hospital to get tended to, right?
Wow.
And it was easier to escape from the hospital than it was a jail like that. So.
Wow, that's dedication.
Yep.
To do something like that. But I'm also thinking that this, you said it was active until the 60s.
Till 1969.
That seems to be very antiquated way of doing things for being that recent.
Yes. And they knew it was dangerous. The fire marshal here in town, we're the most condemned building in Council Bluffs. They were always trying to shut us down, right? Because of the issues. If you had to hurry up and get everybody out, it's going to take you a little while to turn that hand crank and go from floor to floor to get everybody out, right? And so about 1962, we finally lost a lawsuit. The city fire marshal won, and we had to stop rotating it. So from 1962 until 1969, it did not rotate. We had to cut extra doorway openings through some of the cells, and so that meant everybody on the first floor kind of had access to the first floor. Second floor and third floor, same thing. And so what they did is they would pick the biggest, baddest person on that floor and say, "Okay, you're in charge. If anybody gets out of line, thump them for us." Right, so it was a different era back then.
Kind of like a sergeant at arms,
yes,
if you will, kind of that kind of thing. There's got to be a ton of cool stories though that you get to tell people as if they're coming through and talking about that, of just over the history of it. Past just sticking your arm in and breaking it.
Absolutely.
I mean, that just sounds horrible.
Yep.
But.
So there's a lot of history there. Since we're the historical site, it kind of makes sense. So we do use a few of the rooms there to house artifacts. And we have artifacts from years gone by. We have wedding dresses from the 1800s. We have guys that used to collect old Indian heads from across the United States. We have boxes of Indian heads. So we have stuff like that there. And we don't want to paint ourselves into a corner as a historical society and just say that we run this building and then the Rails West Museum. Those are our main prizes there. We didn't want to paint ourselves in a corner because we're all about Iowa. We're all about Pottawattamie County. And so we want to make sure that we're telling the story of everybody, not just the people that were in that jail, But as far as the jail itself, there's a lot of interesting facts and stories. We've had 5 documented deaths there. 4 inmates and 1 deputy was shot and killed inside the building. A lot of people think that it may be haunted, and the haunting is because of the deaths there. It may be energy that's attached to some of the artifacts that we have in storage. And technically, the site where the the jail is built, that's where the first city morgue was. So they tore down the city morgue and then they built this building there. And so there's a lot of strange circumstances that a lot of people kind of connect to say that it's haunted. So
you seen anything? Heard anything?
I've heard some stuff, just some weird creaks and moans and stuff like that. I've never had anybody tap me on the shoulder and ask me what I'm doing. But there's been some interesting things. And we have paranormal groups from all over the United States and Canada that book it darn near every weekend up until the winter time. Obviously no heat in certain areas, so it gets pretty bitter cold and come January. But darn near every weekend we've got a group in there setting up cameras, setting up audio, trying to catch something. So if you just look on YouTube, Squirrel Cage Jail, you're going to see all kinds of photos and videos and audio. You may see my ugly mug a few times on TV. So
I'd also heard, and we may have even talked about it before, but there was talk of like music videos and things being shot there. Did that ever happen?
So we've had a lot of different things happen there. So there's been a couple music videos from some local artists. There's been some larger artists that have wanted to come in. They've sent their scouts. Nothing has really transpired just yet. But we've had a few TV shows filmed there. We've had small documentaries filmed there. We've had 5 weddings there. So we've had a little bit of everything. Well, hey, if you fall in love, and you're to each their own. To each their own.
I guess.
Every few years, we also have a family reunion. There's a local family that the great grandfather was a jailer there, and they just love that history, and so they'll rent the grounds and they'll have their family reunion every few years there. So
Service Master Restore by Schmader knows it can be hard to get things back to normal when you've suffered serious property damage due to flooding, fire, or smoke. And that can oftentimes lead to mold, and you may be left with all sorts of questions about how to get your home or business back to normal. It's easy. You give Cindy Schmader a call with Service Master Restore by Schmader. Her phone number, 402-339-9911. Technology should work for you, not against you. At ThinkSpace IT, they provide expert IT solutions to keep your business running smoothly and securely. From cybersecurity and cloud services to network management and tech support, they simplify IT so you can focus on what matters most. Stay protected, stay connected, stay ahead. Visit ThinkSpaceIT.com.
Well, it sounds like it's getting plenty of use.
Yep.
You talked about how they put in the new doorways and wasn't turning anymore. Does it still turn?
No.
So that's done.
Yep, it's done. The fire marshal made us take the chains off of the cog wheels and all that stuff. And there's talk that they put cement in the wheels so that it couldn't turn anymore. So the basement that's underneath it, they actually added a wall and section to section off back in 70. And so you can't get too underneath to see exactly what they do, but I would love to be able to get through that wall and see what it looks like underneath the cage.
Yeah, that would be a ton of history.
Yep.
I would think just going through that door after it was created.
Right.
Kind of thing. That's just a part of what it is that you do. I mean, you are the vice president of the Historical Society, which has a little bit more to do than just the Squirrel Cage Jail, right?
Correct. We do a lot of programs. So we're always doing talks. We're always taking things on the road. I set things up at the state fair, all about local history. The Squirrel Cage is also an official museum for the Iowa State Sheriffs and Deputies Association. So it's always been a law enforcement history, right? Because I was a sheriff's office for many years. But now I've got 98 other counties who are sending me artifacts that belong to sheriff's offices to show off and kind of relive that. Once these artifacts are gone or in the landfill, they're gone. So we want to preserve that memory, and we have to know where we were, where we're at, and then where we're going in the future. So
how many people do you think come through there in the jail?
That's hard to say because there's different tourist seasons, right? We always figure May 1st until October 31st is our tourist season. We get bus loads, we get, caravans. Even when we're closed, I'll get a phone call at the sheriff's office and say, hey, there's a guy that would really like to see the jail. Can you come give a tour? And I'll take my lunch hour and hurry up and run over there and give him a quick tour. And there was a guy that retired from Sing Sing after 30-some years. And being able to talk to him and hear his stories and see how he's so fascinated with the squirrel cage is just amazing to kind of put that together.
Is Is it difficult to get in to see it? Is it by appointment? Can you just stop by? How does that work?
So we have regular hours, and it's usually posted on the door or on our social media pages. But a lot of times people know to get a hold of me. I'm not going to be giving my phone number out on here, but
Probably too many people have it already.
But I've had a lot of people call me after hours and say, "Hey, I'd really love to see it. Can you get me in, or can you get my family in?" And we're going to accommodate. I love showing the building off. I love talking about the history of Pottawattamie County. And all the different things that we do, the good that we do. We do a lot of different events. Like I said, we've got the Squirrel Cage, we've got the Rails West Museum as well. We also have the Brigant House, which was a little people house here in town as well. So.
Did you have a passion for history before getting involved with it at this level, or did that follow after, okay, there's an opportunity here, and then the passion came in behind it?
A little bit of everything. I'll tell you, and I'll be honest, I flunked out of history when I was in school, right? But then you start kind of putting the puzzle pieces together. In law enforcement, every case is a puzzle. Somebody took that puzzle and shook it up, and so you're trying to find those puzzle pieces, flip them back over, and put that story back together. And in a sense, that's kind of what I'm doing. So when I started working at the sheriff's office, we realized that there's not a lot of old photos, not a lot of information. And the way that it worked back then was, I'm more popular than you. I'm the new sheriff. So anything that had your photo, your name on that letterhead, we're going to get rid of it because it's all about me now, right? And so it wasn't until about the early 50s that they started keeping some of that stuff. Well, I want to find that older stuff. I want to see what the patrol cars looked like in the 30s. I want to see, old sheriffs in the late 1800s. What did they look like? Who were they? I want to try to put those puzzle pieces back together. And just by doing a tour at the Squirrel Cage, I was able to find photos on the wall there that we had never seen before. And so I sweet-talked them into, hey, can I get copies of this for the sheriff's office so that we can historically keep this here? Anything that I find, I'll get back to you. That's when they sweet-talked me into getting on the board of directors. And then after years of doing that, now I'm the vice president, and I'm giving goofy tours and, talking to you. So
I think that for a long time, and it's not just us, I mean, you could say it's just about everywhere, we didn't have a real good grip and grasp of what the history meant.
Mm-hmm.
And for many people, it wasn't history, it was just old.
Right.
And it was worn out.
Right.
And it needed to be replaced, and it needed to be rehabilitated. I remember urban renewal was a big thing for a while, and we just got rid of. We've lost so much history in town. So to have pieces of it that are still there, you're right. We need to protect that because it's part of who we are.
Right.
And will remain so. So well done on maintaining just as much of that as possible. And I'm sure there's still more floating out there, I'll bet.
And my wife can attest to my eBay purchases over the years. And I think within probably a 1,000-mile radius, every antique dealer knows me by name and has my cell phone number. And so, yeah, she'll attest to that for you.
You never know where something's going to turn up, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's just going to turn up there. And we also wanted to talk to you a little bit today because it may sound like maybe a boring part for the average person, but I'm guessing it's not. That the civil division of what it is that you do and help with, it's got to be fascinating, but also at the same time, it has to be. You're always delivering bad news, aren't you? I mean, you're never going to anybody and talking, hey, you just won the Publishers Clearinghouse.
Right.
You don't get to do that.
Right. So I've been in law enforcement for 28 years, and I've seen all aspects of everything. And sometimes we're delivering good news. Sometimes we're delivering babies. Sometimes we're delivering bad news. There's a little bit of everything. I've been in charge of the Civil and Records Division at the Sheriff's Office for 10 years now. And if you think about what we do, no matter what, if we're knocking on your door, it's usually bad news. You owe money. You're going to get kicked out of your house. You have to go to court. Something. We're always delivering bad news. We don't deliver the good news. So we never know what we're getting into, and we see everybody on their worst day because they don't want us there, right? Just yesterday, we had somebody that had not been paying their bills for months and months and months, and that homeowner was missing out. And so he did the procedures. He went through the courts. After a while, he finally got the eviction notice. And so my guys went there yesterday to do the eviction, and they did not want them to come in the house. There were 7 people in the house hiding. And that is walking into the unknown, literally, because we have no idea who's there, who's not there, if they've already moved out. And so we have to call in the cavalry because we have no idea what we're going to get into. So we are always delivering bad news, and I always cringe whenever I have to send my guys out, but it's part of the job, and that's what we're mandated to do. By Iowa code, the very first thing that it says an Iowa sheriff has to do is to deliver court papers. It's not to write tickets. It's not to, do National Night Out. It is to deliver court correspondence. And so that's what we're mandated to do by law.
Council Bluffs Today is brought to you by Keith Jones, your Edward Jones financial advisor in Council Bluffs. Learn how he can help you reach your financial goals. Visit edwardjones.com for more. Edward Jones, member SIPC. If you're looking for a laid-back spot with great food and even better company, it's the Mile Away on Old Lincoln Highway north of Council Bluffs. This family-run bar and grill is your go-to for mouth-watering wings, unbeatable weekly specials, and a welcoming atmosphere that feels like home. So, if you're catching a game, enjoying one of those specials, or just unwinding after a long day, the Mile Away has you covered. Open every day, Tuesday through Sunday at 8 for breakfast, and don't forget them at lunch and dinner time as well. It's the Mile Away, Old Lincoln Highway, north of Council Bluffs.
So
I'm also, I can only assume that you start hearing pleading and one excuse after another, which also I would assume that you don't have the power
correct
to change anything at that point.
Yep.
The decision's already been made by someone else,
Yep.
and you're just the delivery guy.
Yep.
Yeah, so it has to fall on deaf ears,
Right.
but at the same time, got to tug at the heartstrings a little bit, doesn't it?
It does. And it is very black and white with us because it has to be, because that's what the courts say we have to do. But yeah, we walk away feeling like crap sometimes. We're fathers, we're mothers, we're brothers, we're sisters. We have family members that have had addictions and, all walks of life. We've seen it and we've been there. We've been with them. We've held their hands and all that. And so we know what they're going through. But either way, we have a job to do. No different than anybody else.
We oftentimes, just as the general public, think of law enforcement as, okay, there's a vehicle that says police or sheriff's department on the side of it, and that's who everybody is.
Right.
But there's so many different layers and so many different facets of you folks that are out there making sure that we're all protected and everything is running smoothly the way that it should.
Right.
And I don't know that we often think about it.
No, a lot of times, as soon as somebody knows that you're in law enforcement or a firefighter or whatever, that is what you're labeled as. So I could be out to dinner with my wife, having a nice meal and enjoying a water. And somebody that may be a couple tables away know that I'm law enforcement, and they could easily call the boss and say, hey, man, he was drunk and he was doing this, he was doing that, just to try to get you in trouble. And that's, it's bad that people are like that, but people are like that. So they just look at us as a uniform, as a badge. They don't realize that, we give goofy haunted tours and, we love antiques and we love going to antique shows, and we've got 5 grandkids and 3 daughters and we're doing this and we're doing that. They don't see all that. All they see is a badge, and that's it.
Well, I had asked on a different show, Trish, the jail administrator, this question. I wanted to ask you, how do you take care of yourself when knowing that there's a lot of negativity around the job of what it is that you do, but you have a life to live personally that's outside of that job, and you want to live it the best way that you can.
Right.
So how do you mentally take yourself out of that so you can just enjoy things? You can enjoy your family. You can enjoy a vacation. How do you handle that part of it?
So for the most part, we have to be strong shoulders for other people, right? We also need to have strong shoulders that we can lean on. So you have to have the right friends, the right family, the right people around you. You surround yourself with what you need, right? So having that support system means everything. And then being able to kind of shut things off, that when I'm on vacation, if I'm walking around an antique store, if I'm, just sitting there fishing, I'm shutting it off as much as I can. You have to have an outlet that you could reach for, and everybody's outlet's different. So
is that something that you can just get better at, that shutting it off part? I mean, the more you practice it, does it get easier for you to say, okay, I can disconnect from this now. I've put all of this stuff up on the shelf. I'll go back and revisit this after I go back to work. Does it get easier be able to do it?
I think that is person to person. Some people it may be easy. Some people it's not. I worked midnights for 13 years, and I've been on days now for probably 15 years. and I still can't sleep at night. 3 or 4 in the morning, I am hungry. That was my dinner time.
Right.
For so long. So some things you can shut off fairly easy, and some things are just kind of ingrained in you. And I don't know what it's going to be like when I retire. I don't know how busy I'm going to keep myself, how busy I'm not going to keep myself, or how much I'm still going to think about the job. But right now I have a life to live, a family to take care of, and a community to protect as much as I can.
I can relate to what it is that you're saying. That I used to be a night owl, and I used to stay up late just from, because I was young and had nothing else to do. When I got a morning show job in radio, and I had to get up very early and did that over an extended period of time. As an example, this morning, I got up at 4:30.
Okay.
I didn't have to be up at 4:30, but I did.
Right.
And, I got up, I got moving around, had breakfast around 6. It starts to become part of who you are, and then I think once we hit a certain age, that's it. We're not turning that valve back off again. So I could definitely relate to you. Well, listen, Jason, thank you so much for being a part of everything that's going on here for Burgers for Blue. Thanks for coming over. Thanks for being willing to sit down with a microphone and a camera pointed at you to talk about this kind of stuff, because I find it very fascinating. And you are now a caretaker of stories and history, and I can tell that that's something you take seriously.
It's a passion. But while we're on camera, we need to say this officially.
Okay.
The next time we meet, it needs to be at the Squirrel Cage. We talked about it last time, and we talked about it at the beginning of this one.
All right, we're going to set it up.
Yep.
You got my word. We're going to set it up, and I'm looking forward to because I haven't been inside there yet.
See, and I knew that.
So I'm looking forward to being able to do that. He is Jason LaMaster, Sergeant with the Pottawattamie County Sheriff's Office, and a whole slew of other titles. And grateful for your time, and also grateful for you for watching this episode. We will be back very soon with another one. While you're looking still at the screen, click like, click follow, click share. That helps spread this information out even further. My name is Todd Studer. We'll see you next time.